question that is posed by this lesson: why did Native nations need to take action? And in the video, they talked about how they were promised certain rights in return for giving up much of their land. But as more and more people entered Washington state, those promises became less and less important to the people moving in. So my question to you is, has anyone ever made you a promise and then not kept it? Yeah. Do you want to tell me about a time? Or, it's okay.
Depends on where it was.
Okay.
It's like sometimes at school, sometimes at a game, whatever. Depends on where I'm at.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Rhea? You said yes. That's happened to you. Do you want to tell me about it? Okay. No worries. How did it make you feel when someone made a promise and didn't keep it? Were you like, eh, okay, whatever? Or were you like, that's not cool? Does it depend on the promise that got broken, maybe?
On the promises.
Yeah, sure. But has there ever been something that happened and it made you want to do something to make that person keep their promise? So let's say, what if you needed a ride home and you talked to a friend and said, hey, will you give me a ride home today? And they said, sure, no problem. And then when you went out to the parking lot, they had already driven away. Now you're stuck, right?
Yeah, it's like baseball and all that. I've done so like I've been here. I have my stuff and all that. Every single time when we don't have a bus, I'm always stranded. Like I'm the only one that gets stranded. I'm the only one.
And that's so frustrating.
I know.
Yeah. And so then you think to yourself, what can I do so that I don't get in a situation again?
I know.
Right?
I'm texting whatever.
Yeah. So there are actions that you can take.
I'm just asking, and then they oh, you have to go with this person. You have to go. And then the person that they're saying already leaves or whatever. So
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we don't need you until later. I'm like, seriously?
Oh, right. Exactly. Right. So there are things that we want to do sometimes to say, hey, this is what I expected because you told me this is what would happen, and it hasn't happened. So treaties were made, right, with the Native Americans. Treaties were made in return for the land. So the treaties that were made were being broken, and Native Americans were losing the abilities to feed their families. That gets pretty serious pretty quickly, right? If you can't take care of the people who are counting on you, that is it's a very stressful thing. So they asked for the treaties to be respected. They said, hey, you made this promise. Will you please follow up on your promise? You said you'd give me a ride home. Will you please make sure tomorrow that you give me a ride home, right? But nobody was listening. So what were their options? Anyone have any guesses? What options they might have had?
Just they always leave me here or whatever. Just I'm stranded, so I have to call someone or I'm like, hey, I am the only one at school and I can't get to the game, whatever.
Yeah. So you have to come up with some options, right? Because you don't want this to keep happening.
And it always does.
Yeah. Yes. So for these guys, when the new state laws kept the Native Americans from being able to fish and feed their families, they did take action. Here's some of the actions they took, and we're going to talk about each of them just a little bit. But listed here: civil disobedience, building coalitions, and media attention. This might be a little bit more than you need to do to get a ride home every day, right? But when things happen, when people don't break their promises, these are some of the actions that people can take to make it better. So civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is when a person refuses to obey a law for a moral or philosophical reason in a non-violent way. So civil disobedience doesn't mean I'm really, really mad at what's going on, so I'm going to go into this store and take what I want. That's not civil disobedience, right? Civil disobedience is saying, I don't believe this law is right,